again to another edition of the C J Speedway Review, right here running live on YouTube and wherever you steal your favorite YouTube videos from. If you're not having trouble with your sound, I'm Head Cold Jones right now, but my real name is Chris Burns from the Loki and Jabroni Show. You can find us live streaming every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. on Facebook and more often than not Twitter. Across the screen, doing his best no-shave November, is Corey Huffnagel. Corey, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. All I can just say is Phoenix didn't disappoint us this weekend, and it just gave us a really good example of the championship 4 is on the line, and everybody needs to get that spot to make it into Homestead. And all I could just say is the races this past weekend didn't disappoint, and now I'm really interested to see what happens at Homestead on Sunday and Saturday and Friday.
What the most amazing thing you saw this weekend from the Phoenix race is we have a special announcement. Speedway Review. We, all the viewers, myself, producer Eddie, when he is bombard you with his special announcement.
Yeah.
Here he comes. Sir Eddie Focus, who makes right-hand turns.
Hey.
Show those beautiful face. There we go. He's not going to say anything. So we wanted to make sure that all of you who watch the C&J Speedway Review each and every week join us. Nagel, a happy 25th birthday just recently, to drink, die for his country, and rent cars without his mother's permission.
That's right.
So, Corey, he's putting on the hat. Here we go.
All right.
Hey, to you. Happy birthday
to you. You look like a monkey.
And you drive like one, too.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Corey.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody on YouTube.
Of course, this doesn't mean.
And hopefully we get a.
Wow, not yet. but anywho.
All right, talk shop.
You see how he swept that right under the rug.
Yeah.
We go back to NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writing Month, and the next hour, and come back and check on us.
All right.
So, the weekend that was in Phoenix, action all the way through, starting with the truck race. I'm away with the win. Up there in my picks, I can't say – I can't recall if he was my pick. First week, I didn't write down my picks. Guys, I'm sorry. From what I can see, I didn't see any of the race. This is where I usually turn it over to you. It looks like a lot of the badasses that are usually up in that top 10 were up there, and a few surprises along the way, like Bailey Curry coming in 10th.
Yeah, I was watching this race. I DVR'd it on Saturday, and I would probably say like the first 145 laps into the race, it pretty much looked like the Kyle Busch Motorsports show, because throughout the whole entire time, the lead would swap between either Noah Gragson or Christopher Bell. And let me just tell you, those two trucks were just pretty much the dominant one to beat. And honestly, like, I couldn't even tell like which one, was going to be the tough one, that was going to win the race. I mean, I know Bell had a fast truck, which he was supposed to win the race, to make it to the Final Four. And Gragson looked like he was going to win his second race of the year. And then let's just say that, long story short, those guys got caught up in a crash with, like, I would say 5 laps to go, because they were racing hard for the lead. And, and I would say what happened was the 18 truck got loose, spun out, hit the wall, and the next thing you know, he got hit by the 24 of Justin Haley. But my real intake has to be with 23 laps to go. So now this is pretty much a recap if you didn't see this, but 23 laps ago, there was a restart. And I saw the 19 truck, Austin Cindric, pull down on the inside. Next thing you know, the 27 tried to come down the block, which was Ben Rhodes. And then next thing you know, the 19 was on the 27 through a quarter panel. And then, boom, 27 hits the wall, comes back up the track. And then next thing you know, he gets his teammate, Matt Crafton. And then both of those guys are out of the race. And then what actually gets pretty interesting is that if you look at the replay, you can clearly see that Cindric, would pull down to the inside. And, and if you look at it, there's two sides of the story. It's either, Rhodes had to protect that spot, if he wanted to, like, get the position whatsoever, or, his spotter didn't say, like, 19's on the inside. But then what also got interesting was that the crew chief for Ben Rhodes said that, they should penalize the 19 for having aggressive driving, for blocking or whatever it was. And then Matt Crafton, when he said in his interview, he said, the 19 better not finish Homestead whatsoever. So now my question is, do you think there's going to be payback? Maybe. I would probably say so, but, let's be honest. I mean, things can get pretty interesting, like when we get down the Homestead this weekend. I mean, you never know. But all I could just say is, congratulations to Johnny Sauter, for winning the race. And all I could just say now is I think it's going to come down between the 21 and the 4 for the championship.
I agree. And with Matt Crafton in that mix going for the championship, he is not in a position right now where he should make a lot of threats going forward into Homestead.
Right.
If he gets around the 19, if he rattles his cage, and the 19 wants to get quick revenge, all you need to do is move Crafton out of the way, put him into the wall, spin him, whatever you want to do. His championship hope is gone.
Right.
Crafton, going forward into Miami, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, prize, because you only get one shot at this, Matt. Wherever you are, if somebody who knows Matt Crafton is listening and wants to tell him what we said, I have no problem with that. Matt, keep your eyes on the prize. Worrying about the other 26 cars on the track. Worry about Matt Crafton and the Final Four. You've got your hands full with 4 of the best guys in the Camping World Truck Series: Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, and Johnny Sauter. Yeah. You cannot play around with these guys. Christopher Bell has been walking away with the series, and now he's seated 4th. I don't know if the seedings matter. They level out the points, and they're all going for that one top position to win this championship. But Mr. Crafton, I swear, I've been watching you a long time. Big fan, even back when you were with Kevin Harvick. If you're going to write a check that your butt can't cash, don't do it on championship week. That's best advice I could give.
And if you look at it, I know that Christopher Bell has been probably the most dominant driver so far, like at the start of the season, but I was actually thinking about this a few days ago. So, at the start of the season, we had Christopher Bell, who was probably one of the dominant guys in the regular season and then pretty much had one win in the playoffs. But if you look at the last 2 races, Johnny Sauter, he's been on a really good momentum the last 3 races. I mean, if you look at it, he finished 3rd at Martinsville and then the last 2 wins at Texas and Phoenix. So if you think about it, the reason why I said it's going to come down between the 21 and the 4 is because the 21's been picking up a lot of momentum the last 3 races. And all I could just say is they're going to go down to Homestead and they're going to bring one of their best trucks as possible.
Without question. And on top of that, once again, all 4 of these guys are going to have their eyes on the prize. They can't afford to make a mistake. Hopefully the teams are putting together the absolute best vehicle that they could put underneath them. Mind has to be just on the championship. Yeah. Don't worry about the 19. Don't worry about your petty feuds. Worry about getting that vehicle up to the front, counting them down one by one until you get to that final lap, flag, and it's all over.
And anything can happen.
Absolutely. I mean, some of these championships decided in the last lap.
Yep.
So we've actually seen a championship on the top level decided by a tiebreaker because they finished flat dead in points before the win. And so you're right. Anything can happen. We've seen championship contenders get into trouble early. Kevin Harvick won, and Ryan Newman was right there behind him.
Yeah.
Got into trouble and was running mid-pack. And they were strong in the first third of the race.
I believe that was, I think it might have been Logano, because that year, it was Logano, Hamlin, Newman, and Harvick in the championship 4 in 2014. And I remember, I think Logano had like a really good car near the end, and then they had that bad pit stop where they dropped the jack, and then that cost them, the championship.
Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Let's give you the rundown from the Lucas Oil 150 Craftsman Truck Series. Johnny Sauter takes home the win. John Hunter Nemechek 2nd. Cody Coughlin 3rd. Chase Briscoe 4th. Kaz Grala 5th. Stuart Friesen 6th. Todd Gilliland 7th. Christopher Bell 8th, Austin Cindric 9th, and Bailey Curry. Notables: Noah Gragson with a disappointing 15th place finish. Ryan Truex finished 19th. Ben Rhodes finished 20th. Matt Crafton 21st. Bottom of this list. Not quite sure why some of these guys were having such bad days. You did mention the dust up earlier, 19. Biggest surprise out of the race for you was who?
Definitely, I would say Bailey Curry finishing in the top 10. I mean, I've never heard of this kid until, like, I would probably say, like, on Saturday night, and I was like, who is this kid anyway? I mean, but other than that, that was probably my one big surprise. And then my disappointment would definitely have to be Noah Gragson. I mean, him and Christopher Bell, they had probably the two dominant trucks that KBM had to offer. And, sadly enough, Gragson spun out and hit the wall, and but actually what I've seen, is that Gragson, he has been doing pretty good on the mile and a half the last few weeks, even though he finished, I believe, 10th at Texas about a week ago or a few weeks ago. I think, the KBM trucks, they're going to probably bring one of their best trucks down there. And, don't be surprised if you see, Gragson and Bell battle for the lead at Homestead on Friday.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. It's going to be a fantastic, exciting race. So when we get into talking about Homestead, I'm just letting you know now, I'm going to change the rules a little bit.
Okay.
As I said, let's give you the championship four once again before we move on. Your championship four are Johnny Sauter, Austin Cindric, Matt Crafton, and Christopher Bell in the Camping World Truck Series. Congratulations to the four of them. Yeah. I'm excited to see what's going to happen Friday night. Miami Speedway, 8 o'clock for those of you who don't know. So it's going to be a night race.
Yep.
I'll be home in time to see it. So that's going to be a good thing. Going forward, we go to the Xfinity Series, where we saw the Ticket Galaxy 200 take place. Pretty surprise, the Cup Series, William Byron takes home the win. I really don't have any takeaways from this race other than, once again, I look at the top 10, usual suspects all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, this race pretty much had, Cup drivers like, I would probably say like in the early part of the race between Eric Jones and Ryan Blaney, and then pretty much William Byron just snuck right through the end. But actually what was kind of odd was that their pit crew guys for Junior Motorsports, and I don't know if you know this, but they had to make an emergency landing, I think, somewhere like at Oklahoma on Saturday. And what happened was they couldn't get to the racetrack in time, so they had to use the backup pit crew guys to do the pit stops for William Byron, Elliott Sadler, and Justin Allgaier, and which I thought it was kind of like weird at first, but then at the end, like I said to myself, these guys better do a really good job because I know they're backup guys, no doubt about it. But, like I said, they need to have those cars fit. They have to have those cars really good on the pit stop whatsoever. But, yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I would probably say the battle was probably, I would say, with 10 laps to go when Cole Custer and Daniel Hemrick were fighting for that final spot. And I had said at the end, I thought these guys are going to wreck with like 5 laps to go. Like there's no way, they could do this for like the last 5 laps. And then, the one part where Christopher Bell moved to 3 wide on the outside, I thought, okay, who's going to get the final spot? Because now it pretty much came down by like 3 points. And sure enough, Daniel Hemrick shined on through. He finished in the top 10, I believe. Actually finished in the top 5. Yep, he finished 5th, and then so Hemrick was able to get the final spot on the last lap. And I got to tell you what, I thought the Xfinity elimination race, I thought it was a really good show. I mean, came down to the last lap, pretty much decided, who we saw, for that 4th driver that came in, and sure enough, it's going to be between 3 of the Junior Motorsports guys and 1 Richard Childress guy. So it should be very interesting on Saturday.
Another fantastic finish on the Xfinity Series for Christopher Bell in the 18-2, coming in 4th. This is a guy, we already talked about him in the Truck Series. A good feeling that we're going to be talking about him come September next year in the Xfinity Championship run. Yeah. True or false?
Oh, I'd probably say true. And then not only that, I also heard that Brandon Jones is going to be going to Joe Gibbs Racing next year as well.
I did read that as well. On the Cup level or in the Xfinity?
Xfinity.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let me run down the top 10 real quick. Again, William Byron came home first, Ryan Blaney second, Eric Jones third, Christopher Bell fourth, Daniel Hemrick fifth, Blake Koch sixth, Cole Custer seven, Alex Bowman eight, Austin Dillon nine, Justin Allgaier 10th. Your notables going down the list lower than 10. Matt Tifft was 11th. You mentioned Brandon Jones. He was in 15th. Elliott Sadler disappointing in 18th. Nobody really lower on the list that I can think of that was 38th.
Yeah,
Very
38th,
disappointing.
Yeah.
What happened with Brennan's day?
So what happened was, so there was this lap car. I think it was the 8 of Caesar Barrichello. I can't pronounce that last name. So what happened was Caesar pretty much went down on the racetrack. He was trying to go on the lower part, and then I guess what happened was he didn't know that the 48 of Poole came down on the bottom, and next thing you know, caught the rear quarter panel of Poole. The next thing you know, he got up in the wall, and then that pretty much cost his day. And then you could pretty much tell in his interview that he was upset that there were lap cars all around him, and he was trying to get by and pretty much finished a disappointing 38th, and that cost him to advance to the championship 4.
Well, it's going to be interesting next week at the Ford EcoBoost 300. Let's run down your championship 4. Once again, William Byron, Elliott Sadler, Justin Allgaier, and Daniel Hemrick. Congratulations to those 4. Moving on, next week at Miami. Go to the Can-Am 500, the Cup race, which was run at 2:30 this past Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
In NASCAR. And I say this not to hate on NASCAR. I've been a NASCAR fan all my life. Only in NASCAR. Inches from being out of a job and win a race and have the crowd absolutely eat it up. Matt Kenseth comes home with the win, not without some chicanery going on earlier in the race between the 24 and the 11, and we all saw it coming. Corey, race, and I think of all the that's going to be, other than Kenseth's win, which would be up at number 1, the continued battle between the 24 and the 11 over into next year, unless these guys sit in a room somewhere, pop a couple beers, and say, look, we need to get over this crap because we're just going to tear up race cars going forward.
I mean, if you...
To me, that's story number 2. I got 2 more stories just to rattle off real quick and let you get into your bit. Jimmy Johnson. Going first to worst, man. He was hovering around the top 10, top 15. Confetti. He's in the wall. He's spinning out. Tires busted. He hurt himself a little bit. They all do in those crashes. They don't say it. This fourth straight DNF. Head Colt Jones going on today. Wow.
Yeah.
The string of bad luck that Kyle Larson has had in the last 4 weeks and throughout this championship series.
I mean, if you look at it, I would say like the battle between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin. I mean, who knows when that rivalry is going to end, but let's be honest. I mean, Chase is still mad about Martinsville, and it's been like, 2 races since that happened. And then going into Sunday, Chase did what he had to do, to make it into the championship 4. I mean, he said to himself, like, okay, so you took me out at Martinsville. I'm going to take you out, out of the championship 4. And I saw a couple of times they were battling each other like early on in the race, letting Hamlin know that, hey, I'm still mad about what happened at Martinsville and you're not going to get away with what happened and stuff. And then with 42 laps to go, they were still at it with each other. Then I saw the 24 pitch the 11 in the wall. And then next thing you know, there was smoke coming out of the 11. And I thought, he's going to blow a tire within like 1 lap or something. Next thing you know, the tire blows out. Boom, he's in the wall. That pretty much ends his season. Actually ends his championship 4 and all that. So now Chase Elliott says, okay, now I need to win the race, if in order to get the championship 4. If you looked at, on the restarts, the 24 car had a really good car on the short run, but then once he got into the longer run, like he couldn't get a bite off the corner, and then he just couldn't have any momentum. And then that's how Matt Kenseth took the lead with 9 laps to go, which pretty much put the 20 in victory lane. And then I'm also looking at Jimmy Johnson, and yeah, I mean, definitely not his year from what I expected. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, at the start of the playoffs, like, they did have a good start, but I would probably say, like, this isn't their best playoffs from what I expected and from what everyone else has expected. But all I could just say is the 48 guys, they're going to, like, think about this in the offseason, and they're going to say, like, okay, what are we going to do now? So then that ought way we could be better next year. And then, of course, the Camaro, which is coming out next year as well. But I would say the 48's going to come back. They're going to rebound. They'll win races. They'll make it to the playoffs next year. Now, do I expect them to make it to the championship 4? Possibly. I mean, it depends how they do next year. And then going off to Matt Kenseth, let's just say, he's 45 years old. His last race is on Sunday. And, you look at his career. I mean, look at his results. 39 career wins, 181 top 5s, 326 top 10s. Average finish of his career is a 14.1. And if you think about it, Kent is one of those guys that he'll hang around the back for like most of the race, and then you'll see him with like 10 laps to go and then just take the win. I mean, think about it. Like, what do you think Matt Kenseth is going to do next year? I mean, I really don't know. I mean, my best bet, or my probably theory, is that, he's turning down some of these rides, that aren't really like competitive and that are not running in the top 5 or that are winning races and stuff. But I would probably say, like, whatever Matt Kenseth, decides to do in 2018 is what his decision's going to be. And let's be honest. I mean, he has a family, he's got like 2 children or 3 children. I can't remember, but, all I can just say is the sport's not going to be the same without Matt. But, even if he decides to hang it up, I still say he's had a good career, and there's no doubt that he's going to make it to the Hall of Fame in the next few years.
I don't doubt anything you just said. That was amazing how you put that. I mean, for me, I told you last week my dream scenario would be for Kenseth to wind up in the 41 if SHR cannot Bush.
Right.
One of the things about Matt Kenseth that you brought up is that you always see him lurking around the back, and then he makes his way to the front. When he came up through the ranks in Wisconsin, fire would start at the back of the field, which I think is great. So you have the fastest car, prove that you can make it to the front. Prove that it's not just the equipment that's helping you win these races, and nobody can cut the field. I've said it for years. Matt Kenseth is like a surgeon cutting through the field and getting his way up to the front. Great to watch him win on Sunday, but it was also disappointing knowing that Rand track coming up, we're not going to have the opportunity to see Matt Kenseth run a full-time ride ever again. I felt the same way when Terry Labonte slowed down, because Terry Labonte was still competitive. The schedule,
right?
Not so much. Mark Martin wasn't winning races when he cut his schedule down. Bobby Labonte wasn't winning races as his schedule slowed down. Darrell Waltrip hadn't won in 8 years when he slowed his schedule down.
Right.
Have it or you don't. Matt Kenseth this year has proven over and over again that he has what it takes to be competitive on the highest level. It's going to suck not to have Matt Kenseth out there. He chooses to do. Big salute to Matt. Let's give the rundown of the top 10. First, Chase Elliott second, Martin Truex third, Eric Jones fourth, Kevin Harvick fifth, sixth, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. eighth, Eric Almirola ninth, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Other notables lower than 10. Joey Logano came in 12th, sneaks his way into the playoffs with a 16th place finish. Further down the list, way down here in 35th, is Denny Hamlin with a 35th place finish. We also mentioned Jimmy Johnson 39th and Kyle Larson. Biggest surprise of the race for you?
I would probably say the biggest surprise would definitely have to be Chase Elliott. I mean, I would probably say I was rooting for him the last couple laps and hoping that he was going to win the race. And it's actually funny because I wrote on Facebook during the race, I said, if Chase Elliott wins, free wings at Hooters on Monday, which obviously, of course, Kevin Harvick has his own like Bloomin' Onion promo on Mondays as well. But yeah, that was definitely my surprise. But that actually showed me that Chase Elliott said, like, I'm going to do the best I can, to win the race and hopefully advance to the Final Four. I mean, let's be honest. He finished runner-up, which was good. I mean, he was close, but he just wasn't, like, there, like, close enough. I mean, like, I would say that if there was a restart with, like, maybe 3 laps to go or something, I would think, Chase would have had a good run because, he had a really good run on the short. I mean, he had a good car on the short runs, but, then his car started giving away, like, I'd probably say like 20 laps in, maybe 25 laps in.
I have 2 surprises, actually. And the first one, we'll go back to Chase Elliott. I was amazed watching him take the high line, which no one does at Phoenix, and was making it work for him. He was picking up a lot of speed, high side, where everybody else goes low and takes the shortcut underneath the line in the tri-oval. By the way, did you see they're moving the start-finish line next year?
Yes, and they're also reconfiguring some stuff at Phoenix as well.
A lot of drivers off, my man. It's not going to be the same Phoenix. I love the layout. Even when I play NASCAR on the Xbox, Phoenix is a destination. Love playing that track. Love to slide it like a dirt car around the corners. And I watch guys over the years like Hamlin, Johnson, Harvick use that low line, slide the car through the tri-oval, just enough so where when the tail end comes out, you hit the gas, you go straight, and you're picking up speed going into 3 and 4. But to watch Chase Elliott use that high line and pass cars on the high line, 2 of those restarts I watched was where I believe it was either Hamlin or Keselowski, 2-3 laps in after the restart, they go low.
Yeah.
Line, and Elliott's just sticking it on the top line, right up close to the wall, and passing them.
Right.
He had a rocket underneath him. The problem was, again, you have guys like Martin Truex, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick up there who know the terrain. They know what they're doing at that track. I think Chase just got a little caught up. Maybe the rocket wasn't as good as what the other guys had, or maybe it was experience at Phoenix International Raceway that
I would say so too. And actually, like, if you think about it, like, what's actually interesting about Phoenix is when they reconfigured it back in 2011. I mean, the first time, they were on the reconfigured track, like, there were guys that were going down that dog, like, it's like a shortcut, to make some really good passes and stuff. And let's be honest, like, whenever those guys go down there to make a pass, I mean, it's very risky, when you're going down there at like maybe 140 miles an hour, and then when you're going into turn 3, like, you have to be on the brakes, going to like 100 or something. And, there has been times where, they've either made it a success or they probably like failed at it, because, there's a bunch of cars and all that stuff. Heck, I would say that in the truck race on Friday night, everybody was down on the dog leg like 5 wide or maybe 6 wide. And I thought, there's no way you could do 6 wide at Phoenix, especially in the trucks. But that was actually the one part where there was a couple blocking going on. I think it was the 16 of Ryan Truex, and then they had their big wreck in turn 3, which obviously, of course, I think the truck race on Friday night, they had, I believe, 2 red flags and actually maybe 3 red flags. I can't remember. But yeah, honestly, like, Phoenix is very interesting. Like, whenever they pass through the dog leg, it makes it very exciting because before then, like, it was all a bunch of grass and you couldn't even make any passes at all. But I would say with the whole changes at Phoenix, and not only that, Richmond's making a couple changes too, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how, it does next year, and hopefully it can get fans in the seats.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Chase Elliott showed a lot of drivers this weekend, even some of the veteran guys who have been doing this 20, 30 years, that the high line can work to the car because, again, guys, if you think about it, all that blown off rubber goes to the top by the wall. But there's Chase Elliott holding that car down. He's not getting in the marbles. He's not losing control of the car. He's hanging on that top line, taking a longer route to pass these cars. So that, for me, was surprise number 1. Surprise number 2, Eric Almirola, once again, showing his stuff, going forward, ready to go into his new ride next year, and coming home 9th. Again, let's be honest, RPM, Richard Petty Motorsports, isn't what it has been, but they've been coming up. next year, Bubba Wallace getting in the car. That's going to be fantastic for them. And
Yeah.
it's time for him to show he can do the job in the RPM equipment. But Eric Almirola has really made a statement this season that he is deserving of a spot. He's not a media darling or a PR prop like Danica Patrick. Look, no offense to Danica, but you've shown over the last 6 to 8 years you cannot handle a stock car, which is different from the open wheels you came up doing. Danica Patrick, I looked forward to good things from her when she came up. Unfortunately, never translated. So all of these folks that get in these cars can drive. She just couldn't hang. She was a consistent mid-pack, if not lower half, her entire career in NASCAR. So good luck to you wherever you go, Danica. I wish good things for you. But again, Eric Almirola getting in that 10 this next season and showing his stuff this season to show that he belongs with the big boys, fantastic. Tip of the hat to him.
Absolutely.
Let's break down real quick your top 10 from the race. Well, we did this already. Let's go to the championship 4.
Yep.
All right. Way to let me look like a jerk. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, and Brad Keselowski are your championship 4 going into next week at Homestead Miami Speedway. Congratulations to all 4 drivers. And again, I know I picked Hamlin for the 4th spot. He has run his tail off all season long. Keselowski a little bit. So I'm glad he made that Final 4. Would have preferred Hamlin, but, beggars can't be choosers. Yeah. I'm going to be a homer this one time. Glad we're not seeing the 48. We need new blood up in the front. And I know people are going to say, well, Kyle Busch is up there, Kevin Harvick's up there, Keselowski's up there, all 3 former champions. Well, supposed to do.
Right.
But now we have Truex in there. Never been a champion. He's always been right underneath. This was Truex's breakout season. And he's done it in a grand fashion. But again, last few weeks have really taken a bite out of all the hard work he did all season. Him and Kyle Larson. We were talking about it for weeks when we first started this, how the 78 and the 42 were just going to run away with the whole thing. Well, now you only have one half of the equation. Very deserving for Martin Truex. I think we're going to see him up there, even though he's a little more advanced in age than some of these drivers. He's in his – so, we're not going to – we may only get 10 more seasons out of Truex, but you're going to see him up there each and every year, I think, for the next however many years he wants to in Monster Cup Energy Racing.
Right now, Truex is 37.
He's old like me.
Yeah.
Not like the birthday. Not like the birthday boy over there.
But I can tell you this. I mean, I'm looking at the championship 4 right now, and all I can just say is I think it's a really good championship 4, and I think it's going to be very interesting on Sunday. And if you think about it, you have a lot of good, talented drivers, 3 of them who have won the championship before, 1, who has had a dream season already, 7 wins, 18 top 5s, 25 top 10s. But all I could just say is it's going to come down to the last lap. And I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 of them would come down to the checkered flag, finishing 1, 2, 3, 4, in a photo finish or whatever it is. But I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, it could possibly be like that. It could be different. You never know. But like I said before, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Martin Truex wins the championship this year. I really think this is his season to win. Like I said, there's a lot of adversity that's happened to him throughout this whole season. I mean, you go from Sherry Pollux, who's had ovarian cancer. You've had one of the crew members who died of a heart attack like the day before the race. You had Cole Pern's dog that got put to sleep. I think it was after the Watkins Glen race. And then just recently, and I don't know if you heard this, but the team owner, Barney Visser, had a heart attack last week, and he had open heart surgery, had the bypass surgery. Now he's resting home comfortably, and we're glad that he's doing okay. And Barney, if you're watching this, we're glad you're okay and get well soon. and I'm hoping the 78 wins the championship. But yeah, let's face it, this team has faced a lot of adversity this season, but all I could just say is it's, their goal is pretty much the eyes on the prize on Sunday. And honestly, like, what a better way for the 78 to win the championship. That would be a storybook ending in 2017.
Oh, without question. And again, like you said, best wishes to Barney. Hope he gets well. These guys, despite the bad luck, have not taken their eyes off of the championship. They have been precision focused from Daytona all the way to now. Race is in. We're about to go to the 36th and final race of the year.
Yep.
Truex has been thinking championship. Flag dropped in Daytona in February. He is on the precipice of greatness. And if he doesn't win, I don't think his spirits die out. I'm hungrier. I got this close. Now next year, I've tasted it. Now I want more. It would be easy for me to sit here and pick Truex, and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. But again, I've said it since we started this show. It really is his championship to lose. It has been since the start of the chase. So as we go forward, let's look at the lineup for the weekend, starting with the Camping World Truck Series. Once again, 18th, 8 p.m. live on FS1 is the Ford EcoBoost 200. No need to go through all the rigmarole. We know who the players are. These rules up a little bit.
Okay.
I want your lock to win the race. I want your lock to win the championship. To win the championship.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So.
Not making it easy.
Oh, I could just tell you this. Okay, so my lock to win the championship would definitely have to be Noah Gragson because he's been on a roll the last 2 weeks. Should have won Phoenix. Should have won Texas.
To win the race or the championship because he's not in the
win the race.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, win the race. And then my lock to win the championship is going to be Christopher Bell. Let's be honest. I mean, they're going to bring out a really good mile-and-a-half truck at Homestead. And, like I said, this team has won a couple of races on the mile-and-a-halfs this year. And the last time they won on the mile-and-a-half, I think it was at Kentucky. So, but other than that, I really think the Ford truck is going to be the one to beat. My sleeper, definitely going to be Austin Cindric. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he made it to the championship 4. I would probably say he was like the sleeper pick, to make it all the way to the championship 4. Now that he's over there, I really want to see more out of him. And what a better way! And what a better way for him, to win the championship, especially for Brad Keselowski Racing, because let's remember, they're shutting down their doors after Homestead. So, but yeah, it definitely should be very interesting.
Well, we are almost in lockstep for the entire thing.
All right.
Okay. I have Noah Gragson as my lock to win the race. I have Christopher Bell as my lock to win the championship. My sleeper to win the championship is the grizzled veteran Matt Crafton.
All right.
I dig Matt Crafton. I don't know what it is about him, but there's something I really like about him. And to see him in this Final Four really is a testament to how hard he's always worked. And I think he's deserving of this championship. But again, Christopher Bell is the guy I think is going to walk home with the trophy.
I mean, it wouldn't really surprise me if Crafton wins the championship. I mean, I know he has one win this season, and so far in the playoffs, I mean, he's been pretty decent. But I mean, I really needed to expect more out of him. I mean, since he's a 2-time champion, but yeah, definitely wouldn't surprise me if he wins the title. But if he's going to win this championship on Friday night, things have to go his way because other than that, the 2 best trucks, are the 21 and the 4. So he's going to have to outrun them the whole entire race. But yet again, we'll just have to see what happens.
Right. So as we go forward to Homestead Miami Ford EcoBoost 300, the Xfinity race, once again, I'm looking through, and I don't see too many Cup guys going down to play around with the guys, although the Christopher Bell will not be in the 18. And Priest, man, I love that kid. He's going to be in the 18. Christopher Bell will be in the 20 for this race. Not too many interlopers here from the Cup Series. Once you're locked to win the race, you're locked to win the championship and your championship sleeper.
So I'm looking at this entry list, and yes, there are no Cup drivers in this race on Saturday, thank goodness, even though next year it's going to be a lot different. So now next year the Cup drivers won't be running, any of the playoff races, the regular season finale, and the Championship 4 and the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series next year. But looking down in this list, I mean, I couldn't really decide, but my lock to win the race, and you're probably going to be surprised at this, is going to be the 42 of Tyler Reddick. The reason why I picked him is go back to the race at Kentucky. He had a really good car, especially on the 1.5 miles. And then you go to Kansas, started on the pole, finished second, had a really good car on the 1.5 miles. And I look at this driver on Saturday, and I'm thinking to myself, he could probably sneak in another win, before next season when he goes to Junior Motorsports next year. So it wouldn't really surprise me if the 42 wins this year. And let's be honest, I mean, they've won with 2 different drivers so far this year. They won with Kyle Larson and Alex Bowman. So it wouldn't really be surprising if if Tyler gets the second win of the season. Now, my lock to win the championship, this one's kind of hard to choose because let's be honest.
Tough. Tough.
Let's be honest. We all know Junior Motorsports is going to win the championship, but the problem is I can't decide which one to pick. It's so hard to choose right now because if you think about it, 2 of them have won a combined of 6 races this year with William Byron, who won 4, and Justin Allgaier, who's won 2. But if I would have to pick one right now, I would have to go with the 9 of William Byron. It's a tough call. I can't really decide which one to pick, but if you think about it, this kid's got it going on right now, and I would just think that I think he would be the one to watch. And let's be honest, this kid has learned a lot. When he was in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, and now he's moving up to the Cup level next year to Hendrick Motorsports. And he's a fast learner. He's got a lot of talent. He's 19 years old, and he's got a really bright future ahead of him as well. Now, my sleeper pick, I'm going to have to go with the 18 of Ryan Preece. And, like I said, this is his first race ever since he ran at Kentucky back in September. But I really want to see more out of this kid, especially that he's going to be running for Joe Gibbs in a couple of races next year. But, yeah, definitely, another up-and-coming kid, already won the race at Iowa. And I'm still kind of surprised that none of the big teams are looking at him, but except for Gibbs. But other than that, I wouldn't be surprised if Preece ticks up a second win.
Well, you forgot your sleeper for the championship, however.
Sleeper for the championship would have to be Daniel Hemrick.
Okay. I will say this. I'm in lockstep with you on the lock for the championship being William Byron. We're in lockstep with the sleeper for the championship being Daniel Hemrick.
Yep.
My lock to win the race is Ryan Preece. I predict big things for this kid. My sleeper to win the race really isn't a sleeper, but another kid that's going to make the Xfinity Series even more exciting next year. My sleeper is going to be Christopher Bell to win the race.
Yeah.
So, again, you can't get much better than what we're being offered this coming weekend. The full lineup of races, the guys that are running for the championship, the storylines behind each and every single one. Headline by the Ford EcoBoost 300, the only day race for, and we all understand why. This is the meat and potatoes of NASCAR right here. Homestead Miami Speedway, 200 laps, 3:30 p.m. live on NBC Sports Network. You know the game. Now it's time. Oh, wait a minute. Did I read that wrong? Yes, I did. Look at that. Head cold Jones. Not only does it affect your breathing and your speaking, it affects your thinking too. It's the Ford EcoBoost 400. Pardon my English. 267 laps, 3 o'clock Eastern, live on NBC. The head honcho of all. What more do we need to say about the Final Four? What more do we need to say about this fantastic season we've had in front of us? Let's hear the sleepers. Let's hear the locks.
Okay, so my lock to win the race, my lock to win the race would definitely be Matt Kenseth. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins 2 for 2. But not only that, he's actually carrying a throwback paint scheme, and I don't know if you saw this, but he's carrying a throwback of his 2000 rookie car, and pretty much him and Dale Jr. They're going to be driving their throwback rookie cars to go out in style. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kenseth goes 2 for 2, and that odd way he'll get 40 wins, and he'll go out with a bang. My lock to win the championship definitely would have to be Martin Truex Jr. It's been the dream season all year. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the race to win the title. But other than that, I just think this is his championship to win, and I'm hoping, 78 can pull it off. My sleeper to win the championship, I would definitely have to say the 2 of Keselowski. I mean, the 18 Kyle Busch is pretty good right now. The 4 of Kevin Harvick's pretty good right now. So, I mean, and Keselowski made it in with a 16th place finish. So that was so it should be very interesting to see what he does. But other than that, I really think this is going to be a great championship for the Cup guys at Homestead on Sunday.
Well, congratulations. You get to keep your job because you did not utter the name Kyle Busch. Congratulations. All right. So going forward, my lock to win the race is the 24 of Chase Elliott.
All right.
He's going to close this season out with a bang. I think this is the perfect opportunity to do so, to get into the Final Four. It's easy enough to pick a Kenseth or pick a Harvick or pick a Jimmy Johnson. I just think this is going to burn this kid from his inside out, knowing that he comes from championship lineage, his father being Bill Elliott, the 1988 champion.
Yep. And
one of the most popular race car drivers on the circuit for years and years. There's going to be someone that is always up front in Miami, no matter how many times he's run there. My sleeper to win the race is Ryan Newman. Always runs well.
Yeah.
Has a fantastic just determination about him. I'm not a huge Ryan Newman fan, but I certainly do like Ryan Newman, always have, from his Penske days through the Stewart-Haas days, all the way now to RCR. Ryan Newman is just a classy guy. Now to the championship. This is going to hurt my feelings, but I'm going to keep it in the family. My lock to win the championship is my daughter's favorite driver, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Again, it's a dream season. You couldn't map this out any better. Days of Thunder could have been written about Martin Truex Jr., but that was 27 years ago, and here we are in 2017 living the dream season. For me, I've said it. We've said it today. It's his championship to lose.
Yeah.
I look for Martin Truex to be hoisting the cup at the end of the race, whether he finishes second, fifth, whatever, as long as he finishes ahead of the other 3 guys.
Yeah.
My sleeper, guys, I'm going homer on this one. I'm going with Kevin Harvick. He's proven he can do it, and not that Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski haven't. All 3 of them former champions. I wouldn't feel right if I didn't at least tip my hat and throw it into the ring for my favorite driver. So, and to be serious, those are my 2 favorites, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. I gotta give my sleeper to Harvick. Not only because I'm a homer for the guy, but because I know he has what it takes, and he's shown that he can do it, even when he's not involved in the championship 4. He's always in the top 5, top 10 in those races, finishing ahead of championship contenders going forward. So,
right.
in my hat to Kevin Harvick as my sleeper to win the championship. Now,
All right.
let's take the championship 4, and we're going to extend it back to the championship 16, which I'm going to go on my little gimmick phone right here. I'm going to bring them up from Newman, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Austin Dillon, Jamie McMurray, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. Those were your championship 16 for this series.
Yep.
We know who didn't make it. We know some of the big names who will show up next year. Of those 16 names, give me 2 that have 0 chance of making this playoff next season.
So 2 drivers that have 0 chances of making it next year, I would say the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Casey Kane.
Okay, I'm going in a little bit of a different direction. I'm looking at the Austin Dillon. I think Austin Dillon lucked his way to that victory.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to take Casey Kane because he also lucked into his victory at Indianapolis.
Yep.
When you look at that race, and we could go back, we weren't doing the show at that point. I wish we were. But that Indianapolis race, all of the guys who dominated that race faced some trouble. And yes, it's important to be in the right place at the right time. And that's sometimes the name of the game. Football, whatever. That one moment in time where you can sneak through a victory. Casey Kane is a championship caliber driver 5 years ago, 10 years ago. 2017, playoffs. Casey Kane being there, Dillon being there. And truth be told, I think Ty Dillon is the more impressive of the two. I don't know how they got their jobs. They can drive. Again, watch me hold my hands up. They can drive. But are they better? Xfinity Series, who could easily be up last year, this year, etc. And the reason that the Dillon boys have a job is because Granddad owns the team.
Right.
So, to me, Austin Dillon, congratulations. You made the playoffs. You didn't do too well. Not my problem. Sorry, you're not making it next year. Same for you.
Right.
Of the guys that did not make the cut, Joey Logano's, the Clint Boyers. We don't have to talk about Dale Earnhardt Jr. We'll be tipping our hat to him in 2 weeks.
Yep.
When we do our first ever no junior in the field type show. One guy who didn't make it or has never made it that you could see in the playoffs next season.
Definitely, I would have to say, oh boy, this is a tough one.
Take Logano out of the mix. Anybody who's ever made it before, take Chris Buescher out of the mix.
I mean, I would probably have to say Logano. I definitely say Logano. I mean, even though this year hasn't been his best year at Team Penske, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that team will rebound next year. They'll win races. They'll win championships. And if they don't have that encumbered finish like they had at Richmond, I think they're going to be just fine.
All right. So my pick might throw a little wrench into the gimmick here, and Eric Jones is going to be in that round of 16 next year. How far he goes is up to him. But if you look back at these playoffs, his late run has been pretty good. He's been, this week he was in what, 5th?
He finished 4th.
Coming home 4th. Okay,
yeah.
See? Even better. But the way he's handled himself through these playoffs, he's always been in contention, even though he's not a contender for the championship. He's just a guy that's going to make a lot of noise next year, my opinion.
Well, remember Bristol back in August. I mean, he almost won the race there, so wouldn't really surprise me if he gets his first win for Joe Gibbs on the short track. But other than that, I think Eric Jones wouldn't really surprise me if he makes the playoffs next year, but he's going to be fun to watch.
I agree with you more. Guys, Next week, if you're watching live, we will not be hot on Wednesday. We'll be going live Monday night at 8 p.m. Holiday coming, and everybody's traveling. Everybody's doing their thing. Yeah. So you will see us Monday night. If you watch us on YouTube and you just pick us up later, guess what? It's not going to matter a whole lot to you. But Monday night, we will be here for you doing our thing.
That's right. Just the same as usual. My Twitter account, I am at NASCAR Indy. Also Facebook, go to NASCAR IndyCar Central. Instagram, NASCAR IndyCar. And then don't forget to visit my website, NASCARindy.org. We post up blogs, results, news, standings, and more. We're also posting up the playoff standings and the Xfinity, the Cup Series, and the Truck Series right now. And all I could just say is, even though it's like the week before Thanksgiving, even though it's like a week tomorrow or so, but for anybody who's traveling, please stay safe and hope you guys have safe travels. I mean, I know it's going to be tough next week, but other than that, I mean, I can't believe the racing season's almost over. And I'm thinking about it. I'm going like, what are we going to do from next week all the way to February.
Football. What are you, high? You watch football.
Oh, definitely
The
football.
worst time for me, and put this up now, and I say this to everybody who will listen. You know, I always have a sport that I like that is active. 2-week period, and as much as I love hockey, I don't watch as much as I should. But those 2 weeks between the Super Bowl and Daytona are the toughest weeks of my life.
Right.
Going to Sunday, you don't think of Sunday as, oh, let's sit down and watch the Bruins, or wherever you're from. Say you like the Rangers. God only knows why you would.
Right.
Devils or whoever. Nobody thinks that Sunday is for hockey. I think of three things for Sunday: church, football, racing. 2 out of those 3 are gone.
Right.
Very difficult time of year for me. We'll talk going forward about bi-weekly, however you want to do it, leading up to speed weeks in February. You're right. It seemed like this season flew by in a flash. Going back to Kurt Busch winning Daytona, all the way to Matt Kenseth winning last week, and now with the Championship 4 going forward this Sunday. But it's been a hell of a ride. And thank the good Lord above, or whoever it is you give your props to, that Saturday I watched some jackass sitting next to me live feeding on his phone, and I snuck my way in, and here we are with the C J Speedway review.
That's right.
Too much fun. Swig a beer to all you guys out there. Oh, wait. Shameless plug. Sorry. One more shameless plug. Guys, these are coming up. This Friday, Star Wars in December. You want those tickets and you want them now? www.lokiandjabroni.com. Click on our Fandango link right at the top of the page. Buy your tickets now. And I believe the offer is still up there, where if you buy your Star Wars tickets through our link, you get a free poster. No hidden fees, no extra charges, and the links will kick back a little something to us to help cover production costs. We don't use it for T-shirts. We don't use it for hats. We don't use it for beer budget. We use it to make the shows better.
That's right.
So get out there and visit the website. Visit any one of our great affiliate links. Survivor Series is this Sunday. By the way, a little bone of contention I got for a guy who lives about 2 hours down the road, Mr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon. First time since the chase has been enacted and the Championship 4 is run at Miami on Sunday in the afternoon going into the late evening. First time he has scheduled Survivor Series to go head-to-head Sunday. Really not happy with that, but you know what? Hey, when the race is over, if there's time, you want to go to www.lokiandjabroni.com, affiliate link, buy the network, you'll get Survivor Series. Think about that. If you like racing and you like wrestling,
Definitely.
you know you're killing me with that beard. You know that, right?
Hey, all I could just say is, the No Shave November is going on strong, but it's actually kind of funny is that I thought it was going to go, I thought it was going to be like really thick, but I actually shaved like with the shaver a few weeks ago, like the day before, maybe a few days before Halloween. And yeah, let's just say I was clean shaven, and yeah, it's slowly growing out, but I don't think it's going to be really thick by the time we get to like December 1st and whatnot. And also, I forgot to tell you this. So you speak about wrestling. Did you watch the that documentary on ESPN, 30 for 30, about Nature Boy?
Ric Flair loved it. It was equal parts entertaining and heartbreaking.
I thought it was the best. I mean, I saw it, I think it was last Friday night. I want to say it was the best documentary that ESPN's ever produced. And all I could just say is crazy story, how Ric Flair got into wrestling and how he retired from wrestling. It's crazy how it was back then to what it is today. And I'm not a huge wrestling fan, so I don't know all about the sport. But, other than that, I thought the documentary was good. And, gotta love Nature Boy when he goes, woo!
I'm glad you did it, because I couldn't get a woo out if you tried right now.
That's right.
Maybe next week I'll throw a woo out when the 4 is hoisting that cup above his head. Or the 78. As long as it's not the 18, I'm happy.
Either way.
Again, coming down to championship weekend, I'm allowed to be a homer on a few things. I'd be happy if Brad Keselowski won. Any one of those 4 deserving. Don't forget, guys, tell your friends to subscribe to the YouTube channel. because you have between now and Daytona to get us to 100 subscribers. And next November, if you do, enact nothing but Nickelback November. That's right. I will listen to nothing but Nickelback, with the exception of the elevator music that they play at work.
Right.
Car, in my headset, no matter where I go, Nickelback, get us to 100 subscribers, and I will keep my promise. No questions asked. Done and done.
And also, I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to Zach Kuhn. So, Zach, if you're watching this right now, great job. Make sure you tell your friends down at Mitchell College in Connecticut. Make sure they watch us, subscribe us, and but yeah, Zach, just want to say hello and thank you for watching and thank you for tuning in.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Corey, thank you. Eddie,
you.
thank you. Once again, Corey, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Someday when you're old and gray and whatever, I'll be older and grayer, but content for the people if Eddie doesn't die first.
Oh, without a doubt.
All right, guys, have a great night.
Good night.